Hey, it's Ivy at Full Throttle SEO. And I'm sitting here thinking we all need to prove the impact of our marketing, right? But most of us probably panic when we see data like this. You don't even have to know what I'm looking at to be like, oh my God, that's a huge dip, right? So I'm in my Google Search Console, and the current 3 month view for impressions, and impressions are how often we appeared in this case Google search results, shows a distinct drop, and it's starting here around mid September. If you stopped your analysis here, you might be searching for a quick fix for what you're perceiving as a sudden failure, right? So what I want to encourage you to do is actually measure impact instead of panicking. So the first rule I like to say of analyzing your data is to zoom out. So I'm actually comparing this current 3 month period to the same period last year. So the dashed line on this chart is last year's impressions. Look at that gap here, and even here. So despite the recent dip there in September, we are actually consistently above where we were 12 months ago on this website. So the long-term trend is undeniable. You see that this website is growing visibility year over year. So the sky's not falling. We've just kind of normalized after a temporary spike or something happened on the website, something changed, which is normal in search. Visibility, these impressions that I'm showing you, are really just kind of like an activity and really sort of a vanity metric in some ways. But the real measure of impact is actual action. So let's look at one of the only metrics that truly drives business here in Google Search Console, and that's clicks. Clicks are people actually visiting the site from search. So I'm going to switch the view to show only clicks. So we see last year with the dashed line, a little bit difficult to see, but it's because it's sporadic. Dashed lines here last year, not a whole lot of actual activity, people coming to the site, clicks. But this year, the solid line shows a lot of actual activity, right? But, we've made gains, we've made sustained growth. So now let's take it further and actually look at totals. Last year, that 3 month period delivered only 19 total clicks from Google search. But when you look at this year's numbers, there were 74 clicks in this 3 month period. 74. So that's nearly a 4 times increase in qualified traffic. So here's what I want you to take away. If you focus solely on this impressions drop, again, you probably spend resources trying to fix either a short-term trend or something that's out of your control. But you may totally ignore the enormous impact you've created over the long term. So we may have had a not so minor dip in visibility, but we achieved a massive gain in traffic and actual customer potential. So the work is having a significant positive impact where it counts most for this particular business. What I want to encourage you to do going forward when you're analyzing your marketing performance is to remember to compare long-term, look at long-term trends and compare data, especially year over year, if you have that data, because we also have to take into account seasonality in many businesses, and prioritize action metrics like clicks and conversions whether that's lead, actual purchases on a website, those kinds of things, instead of vanity metrics like impressions. Because just because your website shows up in search, it could be that your website showed up on a page 40 where nobody's looking versus showing up on page 1 or 2 where you're definitely going to get traffic. So this is how you turn a moment of panic over your data and the current state of your business. This is how you turn that moment of panic into a demonstrable win for your business. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, follow me for more information, and reach out if you have any questions. Thanks.